everybody, John here, and today onto the garage we're doing episode 60 of Secrets of the XK8. And here's a secret I didn't even know was a thing until I tried to do another job. It's very difficult to remove the wiper arms from your XK8 using conventional tugging and pulling. So here is how to remove the wiper arms from an XK8. You might need to remove the wiper arm in case of damage, replace them, spring gone, or in my case to get underneath the scuttle. So first of all, remove the black plastic caps, if yours haven't already gone missing, from the wiper arms. Don't just bodge around randomly. There is a little slot. It's actually a slot in the arm rather than the cap, and it's in line with the wiper arm. So you see where my screwdriver position is. Small electrical screwdriver, you'll flip the cap off really easily. Next thing, you have to remove the nut, and it's a 13mm nut, assuming it's the original one, of course. I'd recommend using a socket, nice slender one. If you're trying to use an open-ended spanner, you're not going to get right in there. You do not want to slip and round this. So press down nice and hard. It is quite an effort, but it will come off. Once the nut is off, you should be able to just pull the wiper arm free. It's on a tapered spline, the casting of the arm onto a cast spigot. The issue is they're very rarely removed. The taper means it's very tight, and the fact that the cars are getting on now means they're too corrode together. Also, the scuttle is plastic, so you can't really lever against it, and if you pull hard enough you will damage the mechanism for the wiper arms, but not below. So first thing, mark the alignment of your wiper spindle to your wiper arm. Now, any reason for doing this, it's quite a fine spline when you take these things off, and it's very easy to put the wiper arms back on one spline out, and that means that they will not park in exactly the same place later. If, like me, you can't get the arms off, then you're going to need a puller, and you need to make one. This is a cheap ball joint splitter type puller. I'll put a link in the description below to the same one. They are very cheap, but you'll have to modify it in order for the fork to be wide enough to go around the rubber boot, which is quite firm, underneath the wiper arm. So you can see the idea. If you could slip it round underneath the arm and then push down on the spindle, you'd be able to remove the arm without levering on the plastic or breaking the mechanism underneath. So we need to modify this by widening the fork area, and as we can see, it's got to be 21mm wide, and then I've flared it at the front edge to 22.5 just to make it nice and easy to slip on. About 5mm worth of taper. I wouldn't go straight to 21, I'd probably try at 20. It is a rubber collar or sleeve, the shaft that you're trying to get around, so depending on how soft it is, you might be able to force it on. I find it a good idea to put some white marker on the edges of the bits I'm grinding, because when you get grinding you lose track of how much you've removed. So what I've done is put some white lines on the forks of the puller so that I grind them away and I know I'm close. I'm also flattening out the area just above the fork because there's quite a web, if you like, a gusset above it, and ideally you'd have a completely flat surface, but I've just leveled it out a little bit. Also cleaned up the base just so it doesn't scuff my paint. Once you've done that, you can slip the puller underneath the spindle, and because again it's on a rubber thing, you might have to wriggle it into position. and ideally you'd replace the bolt with a slightly longer one so it reaches all the way down to the spindle. I'm just using a small socket that I can slip over the thread and just give me that little bit of extra reach, but obviously it's far more sensible to stick a longer bolt in. Even with this puller, it was surprising how much effort was needed. Obviously go up in stages and use a bit of penetrating oil in the cavity where the nut would normally sit, just to give everything a good chance. You can try warming things up as well if you like, but remember you have got plastics and rubbers involved, so don't go mad. And there you are. You see the shock then as the wiper arm jumped off its spline. So a very effective little tool. I did have to use it on both sides, and I know from previous experience with my other car that this is not a one-off. I really struggled to get the wiper arms off of that one as well. So let's lift this arm off, get a little wobble, and off she comes. And you immediately see a lot of white stuff knocking around, which is the corrosion that's built up between the two pieces of metal. I'd recommend cleaning out all of the little grooves in the spline and the arm before you reassemble it, but obviously don't file it or wire brush it or anything else that's going to soften it. You do want a nice aggressive sharp spline to make sure it grips. They're quite long arms and they've got quite a lot of pressure on the XK8, so there is a chance of them slipping if you start to round things off. The last thing to remember before whipping your arms away is that they are attached to the car by their washer jet hoses. Remember, 23-year-old plastics, so don't pull the pipe. If you pull the pipe, you actually shrink its internal diameter. Push the pipe off. That's what the screwdriver's doing. So I'm applying a little bit of pressure with my left hand in this picture, pulling the pipe and giving it a twist and a move, but actually the effort is going in from the screwdriver. Push it off, don't pull it off, else you'll start another task replacing the union. Then you've got the hopefully relatively easy, straightforward task of repeating the exercise on the opposite side. Same activity, same event, slightly easier access for the puller, for the centre wiper arm as opposed to the one that's at the side, but there's nothing different about it. So if you want to make the same puller, then here's the dimensions again. I haven't dimensioned the little improvement to the shoulder, so the web that stands up vertically. You can just see I've made it a little flatter, less tapering to sit underneath the wiper arm. Last thing is, we are having the Petrol Head pub quiz on Friday the 1st of May. If you'd like to join in with that, then please make sure you're subscribed and you've clicked on your bell icon, so that when I put the video on with the time and date, it pops up. You can give yourself a reminder and you can join in. I was going to do it completely live, but my internet after some test is not up to the job, so it will be recorded, but it will be recorded just before it goes out. Hope you enjoy that, guys, and see you again soon on To The Garage.